Senator, good to see you. Thanks so much for weighing in.
Great to see you all.
Obviously, we're looking at a confirmation battle that's being set up for Rex Tillerson as Secretary of State. What do you make of Marco Rubio's comments there?
Well, certainly I respect Marco's comments, and that's what the advise and consent process is in the United States Senate. And Rex will have to go through that process, and he'll be asked each and every question that every senator has. It'll be a tough process, but I think in the end he will have the respect of those senators by being open and honest and answering those questions. And more importantly, the president-elect went through an amazing process, met with some superior people, Mitt Romney, who I would have supported in a second, and ultimately chose Rex because he felt that he would bring a different perspective, a perspective better than Hillary Clinton and certainly John Kerry, and I want to give him that benefit of the doubt.
Senator, it's Kevin Kelly. Do you think Rex Tillerson could get nominated should President-elect Trump nominate Ambassador John Bolton to be his deputy in the position, who does have sort of a tougher stance on Russia?
Well, you know that Rand Paul doesn't like Ambassador Bolton, so I'm not sure if that helps. But I think Ambassador Bolton is so qualified. He's a friend, and he's on your show all the time, Maria. The guy is always spot on and knows these things like the back of his hands. And it's always good to have good surrogates, good people with you, whether they're deputies or just working in the office as advisors. I would certainly make that recommendation, and I think they make a fantastic team.
Scott, it's Dagen McDowell. Do you think that in terms of Rex Tillerson, the biggest hurdle he's going to have to jump, so to speak, during the confirmation hearings is his opposition to sanctions against Russia?
Yeah, listen, as a member of ExxonMobil, of course he was against it because it hurt the business interests. But as the Secretary of State, he's going to do what the President-elect wants. If the President-elect wants sanctions, he's going to go get sanctions. I mean, everybody knows that. I mean, the guy had a life. He has a life. He's run a multi-billion-dollar corporation and done it exceedingly well in some countries, quite frankly, that are not our friends, and he's been able to do deals. I would rather have that than the apology tour that we have and the bumbling along that we've had in the process over the last 8 years, where our allies don't trust us, our foes don't fear us, and we have no idea where we're going directionally when it comes to our Secretary of State issues. So I'm all for it. I think it's a nice change of direction.
Well, you know, he knows all the players. I mean, he's been trying to push Exxon into all of these places where there is oil-rich environment, and so he's had to deal with a lot of these heads of state in some of these tough countries. So he knows the players.
Yeah.
He definitely knows the players.
So what's the problem?
Yeah, right. I do think that it's really interesting. Everybody's talking about Russia, 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 and everything, and it's almost becoming distracting from what else we can be talking about. What else do you think that folks should be paying attention to now about him? Like, what are some of the positives and pros? We're talking about he knows people, he's made deals, but what are the benefits of having someone like him?
He's run a multi-billion-dollar corporation. He understands, obviously, rules and regulations and dealing with the government and the onerous regulations that are put in place to really stop businesses from growing. He understands the fact that sometimes you need to actually cut a deal and work things out in a proper, above-board manner, especially when you're a large corporation like that. All eyes are on you. So he's obviously done a great job. The company's expanded. And to have a business person in there, somebody who has negotiated not only with other countries and other business entities, but with his own employees to give the best deal for not only those employees, but the shareholders, I think is a nice new touch. I'd rather have that than a career politician. I'm sorry. People say, oh, you need to have political experience. Why?
Yeah. Well,
can you tell me why?
ExxonMobil's in 50 countries, right? I mean, he's led 70,000 employees across ExxonMobil. So, I mean, that's not that different than the number of people that he's going to be leading, by the way, in the State Department. Let's talk about some of the other positions. Go ahead, Scott.
He can certainly do that, Maria. And just to, if I could, I think he's done a great job with General Kelly, General Mattis, and Linda McMahon. Those are my top three that I just love those choices. And everybody else, obviously, they speak for themselves. But those three, for me personally, and Dr. Carson and Hunt, I think will do a great job as well.
And previous presidents have not been that tough on Russia in terms of their coziness with Vladimir Putin. Whether you talk about President Bush, 43, he visited the ranch and then the Russia reset, which was a disaster, and then you've pointed out repeatedly President Obama whispering to Medvedev about we'll have more leeway after the election. Right. So let's not act like that previous administrations haven't been.
Yeah, and if Russia was hacking us all these years, how come we never did anything about it?
Right, exactly.
I mean, do you think that having someone like a business person in this role is sending a signal that a lot of this is going to be about trade?
No, I think.
Well, obviously.
Oh, sorry.
Obviously, trade is the most important thing. It's the economic engine that's going to get our economy moving again. It's to get fairer trade than we have now through, obviously, NAFTA and TPP and other type of trade agreements. But to get the economy moving, we have to have better trade opportunities. We have to lower corporate taxes, repatriate, and streamline regulations. And that, coupled with the things that he's trying to do by getting business leaders in there, I think is a way to have a very successful. Just
to follow up on what you said, Senator, I think nominating a lot of these business executives shows what Donald Trump's trying to do. Hold these people accountable. These are people who have been accountable to their boards, to their shareholders, to their communities, and these people know how to do that. So we're not going to have bureaucratic race. We're going to have leaders in there who know how to run these type of organizations. And the government is the biggest corporation that needs to be run well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the accountability. And yeah, go ahead, Senator.
No, they're like, drunken sailors. They keep spending money. They want more of your money, and they spend it poorly. So we need to get people in there who know the value of a dollar, know how to run, as was just referenced, a great big corporation, which is the United States of America, and do it well. And that's what I'm hoping will happen.
The other thing is I don't see Donald Trump as an ideologue. He looks at the situation and he tries to understand it, but he doesn't go into a situation with the ideologies that I think this current administration has done. There were some ideologies that they just, pushed forward that they believed and thought that America was on that page, like, for example, health care and stuffing Obamacare down everybody's throats. It was an ideology.
Well, they had that opportunity, Maria, to do it because they had a supermajority.
Right.
They could do whatever they wanted for a couple of years. And it started with the apology tour. It's, you look at Cuba, you look at all these different efforts that they've made. And once again, China, they're building islands, okay? They're changing the law of the air and the law of the sea. You have, obviously, what's happening in Syria, which is a complete humanitarian disaster. And it started with that red line when basically 10,000 people were killed, and now you have upwards of millions killed. Wow. We could go on and on and on at the foreign policy blunders. And the people who are opposing Rex, you're telling me he's not going to do a better job? Well, I'd rather give him a chance than continue on with the nightmare that we've had so far.
Well, are you going to make the trip down to Trump Tower? Again?
Well, listen, obviously the VA is one of the last positions. There's some great people in consideration, and I'm honored to be one of them. And whatever happens, whatever the president asks me and others to do, we're obviously going to do our very best to help. So we'll see, and, life goes on.
What about keeping the current secretary in place, Bob McDonald? Would you support that or no? Of the VA.
Yeah, listen, Bob's done a great job, and I understand there are some veterans groups who want that he wants to continue to put his plan in place. The only caveat to that is people are still dying. A veteran was just found dead in a shower after 9 hours. You have all these situations that are still happening, and they've happened, unfortunately, on his watch. So are we going to continue on and let that reorganization be put in place, or we're going to go and change direction and immediately hold people accountable? I mean, that's really what it comes down to me. But whatever the president wants, it's his show.
Yeah.
And of course I'm going to support it 1,000%. And I expect everyone else in the Senate especially to do that, to give him the team, Maria, that he needs to do his job, to bring America to the position where he wants it to go.
Well,